The following video is not made for kids under 13. If you are not 13 years old, please exit out of the video now. And please, YouTube, do not sue me. Sup guys, Mooky here, and I'm back with another part of What If Izuku Had Rean Schwarzer's Powers. This is part 2. In the last part, I explained Izuku's his quirk and his abilities, and also him trying to get control of his wild form, which is Rean's ogre form in the games, so I named it that instead. But in this part, Izuku meets somebody that will change his life forever. With that said, let's get into this. Izuku is now in his senior year in junior high school, which in this what if, he's a lot more social. People don't treat him like shit, and like I said before, Bakugo sees Izuku as his best friend, and not only that, also his rival. But there is one thing that Bakugo is pissed off about Izuku about: his wild form. It's not that he's jealous of it, it's more like he hates that Izuku holds himself back using it. He even told him when they first got into junior high that he could have gotten to UA early, but if he doesn't hold back in that form, he would have been in UA by now. However, Izuku always brushes it off that it just shows that he needs more training, that he can get into UA without it. And it wouldn't feel the same being away from his best friend, with the same excuse over and over again. Bakugo keeps getting pissed off at this same excuse over and over again, and one day wishes that he can beat Izuku to realize how strong he truly is, his true potential. Other than that, let's get into the current events. As the first day of junior high, their teacher basically tells them that they should take a career aptitude test and think about their futures, but just throws all the papers in the air and tells them why bother. They all want to be heroes after all, and everyone activates their quirks and everything. As Izuku doesn't really activate his quirk, but is confident in his abilities, especially with Kaifa's training and everything, so he's not really worried so much. As once again, Bakugo gives out his typical speech just like before, saying, "Don't let me or Izuku into these bunches of nobodies. After all, we're the only ones that are going to be going to UA, and we're the only ones that are hero material." As everyone gets pissed off, getting angry at Bakugo, saying that they think he's better than all of them. As Izuku gets a little, irritated, saying that Bakugo's being arrogant, but he has gotten used to it ever since they were kids. As their teacher says, Bakugo, Midoriya, you both have great stats to be in UA. Your quirks are pretty good, and your grades as well. I can sure the two of you can be in UA. As Bakugo keeps saying that he'll be the number 1 hero, and Izuku will be the number 2 hero, or better yet, his sidekick in a way. After that, Izuku says, "Not a chance in hell, Kachan, not a chance in hell." After that, normally Bakugo would probably get pissed off after that remark, but just lets it slide anyway. After the day has gone by, Izuku and Bakugo planned on leaving together. As just like before, Izuku begins thinking about what they saw earlier before heading into school. That's about Mount Lady and Kamui Woods when both of them first debuted. As Bakugo saying, "Seriously, Izuku, you're thinking about that? I mean, sure, they look like cool heroes, but they got nothing on All Might, so you shouldn't waste your time getting information on nobodies like them." As Izuku saying, not every hero is a nobody. I mean, there are quite some powerful heroes that come out this kind of generation, don't you think? what about, as he says, well, whatever. Just make sure, I'll be waiting outside for you. Just try not to take too long. After that, Izuku sees Bakugo and his two other, well, minions go off. As Izuku grabs his book bag and his wooden sword. As yes, he does carry around a wooden sword, mostly as for practice and everything, and to protect himself too. So he at least has something towards his old master and to keep his training up. After that, Izuku told Bakugo that he'll be off on his own, that there's something he needs to take care of. As Bakugo says, okay, sure, later, as Izuku waves off and heads on his own, as Bakugo feels a little bit worried about Izuku. And after that, Izuku just keeps thinking to himself, if he's worthy to be a hero, even with his quirk, with his inner darkness, does he have the right to be a hero or anything like that? Soon after, he's confronted with the sledge villain, just like in canon. As the sledge villain says, "Thanks, kid. You're my hero. Thanks to you, I'll use you as a skin suit until he disappears." As Izuku feels like he can't breathe, he disperses all the flames all around his body to make sure that the sledge villain gets off, but he's having a hard time. He keeps going and going until he starts blacking out, thinking if he blacks out, if he completely passes out, his wild form will take over, and he doesn't want that from happening. Before he realized it, he was already out of the sledge villain as a huge gust of wind basically knocks the sledge villain all over the place. As a muscular man says, "Never fear, because I am here." After that, Izuku begins freaking out that All Might, his idol, his hero, is right in front of him and just saved his life. As Izuku begins freaking out and starts fanboying like crazy, seeing All Might. As All Might tells him, "Aha, I'm glad that you're okay. I saw that you were trying to fight back pretty well, but it seems like it wasn't enough." As Izuku hears this, he begins thinking that maybe it's because his flames aren't strong enough, that his power isn't enough yet. But doesn't worry about that, and grabs his bag alongside his wooden sword, puts his wooden sword back on his back, and takes his notebook out of his bag and says, "All Might, would you please sign this? I'm a huge fan." As All Might says, "Of course. Here you go." As he signs his note and gives it back to Izuku, Izuku begins thinking this will be a treasured family heirloom. But after that, All Might begins to leave and jumps in the air. But however, he feels a lot heavier than usual and realizes that Izuku is below him and says, "What are you doing? You have to let go now." As Izuku tells him, "You really want me to fall?" After that, All Might says, "All right, fine. Let me get to a safer area for you to let go." As they reach a rooftop, just like in canon, Izuku begins asking if he can be a hero. As All Might tells him, "Why do you say that? Why do you ask?" As Izuku tells him about his quirk, about how it seems like a normal fire quirk on the surface, but deep down, if he blacks out or if he's consumed by anger or pain, a dark darkness within him comes out. His hair turns white, his eyes turn red, and his flames turn into a dark purple shade, and he loses control of himself and is consumed by rage itself. After this, All Might begins being curious about Izuku's quirk, hearing that he never seen a quirk like this before. As as Izuku asked the question if he could be a hero. If he could be a hero with a quirk like his, as soon after, while bowing and closing his eyes, he soon opens them and realizes that All Might's back in his normal form and begins freaking out. What the hell? How did you? Oh my god, you're not really All Might, are you? As All Might says, don't worry kid, I really am. Allow me to explain. As he tells him the story on how he got his wound and how his power is depleted. And Izuku begins thinking of situations, mostly the battle with Toxic Chainsaw, as All Might's impressed that he knows about that fight, but tells him it's not. With that, as he tells him it's a fight more dangerous and more secretive than that only a select few know. After that, he begins saying that he needs to be the hero that everyone needs, the hero that always smiles, the symbol of peace. After that, telling Izuku this, he says, look, you have a pretty strong quirk, and with a transformation quirk like that boosts your not just your flames, but also your physical strength and speed. That's quite something. But find a way to control it. Don't let it control you. As Izuku says, I've heard those words before. I've heard them so many damn times. And it's seriously pissing me off. As All Might says, young man, are you? As Izuku snaps and says, you have no idea how much I've tried, but I can't. I can't accept something so dark, so evil of me, that I might do something even that's like a villain would, that I might become a villain in this form. How can I accept something that could ruin a person's life, that could ruin my life? As All Might says, and it's only up to you, young Midoriya, no one else. You decide what you do with your quirk. After that, Izuku feels a little bit frustrated, but also feels a little bit relieved, letting so much pent up aggression that he had towards himself out. After that, they hear a giant explosion a couple blocks away. After All Might realized that the sludge villain that was in the bottle and that was in his pockets, that are now gone, is gone, and realized. After that, Izuku also rushed down, but faster than All Might, because his speed is a lot faster than originally in canon. As he tries to get through a crowd of people, he soon realized that Bakugo has been captured and is used as a hostage for the sledge villain. As he keeps struggling to get loose, Izuku begins realizing that he screwed up, that he was the reason for the sledge villain getting loose, and now his best friend is in danger and he can't do anything about it. As he begins thinking, well, what about the heroes? Can't they do something about it? As he looks around and realizes none of the heroes are doing anything, saying that they need somebody with a better quirk to handle this. Soon after, many of the crowd that were at the scene of the sledge villain earlier realized that All Might was the one that probably took him down, and yet All Might's not here anymore. And soon after that, Izuku decided to make a choice. He grabbed his wooden sword and soon moved as fast as he can, and tried to take down the sledge villain with his own hands. As many of the other heroes began telling him, "Hey kid, come back! You're going to get yourself killed." After Izuku didn't care, he was moving without even thinking, and soon after, like he was sheathing a sword, he soon says, "Arc Slash!" creating a small shockwave from the wooden sword and hitting the sledge villain head on, as he says, "Wait, you're that little brat that I tried to take for myself. I can't believe I'm dealing with you again." After that, Izuku tried using his dragon slash, as everyone sees a giant dragon coming from his wooden sword. After that, he slams it down to the ground as the dragon now turns into a small explosion, pushing the sledge villain back for a bit and allowing Izuku to grab Bakugo out of him, and both of them falling on the ground, as Izuku saying, "Kachan, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." After that, Bakugo saying, "What the hell are you apologizing for, you idiot?" Soon after, the sledge villain says, "You're both dead." As the two began worrying, they soon see All Might in front of them, holding the sledge villain back, with him saying, "Sorry I'm late. I'll take care of this. You two have done well to hold your own." After that, he soon screams, "Detroit Smash!" with the sledge villain going all over the place, and it begins to rain, with the explosions and the flames that Izuku and Bakugo created are now put out, with everyone cheering for All Might. Soon after that, the sledge villain is captured once again, and the news are based in the crowd of people in the news are, cheering on All Might and congratulating him, as all the other heroes were also admiring Izuku and Bakugo for their quirks, but also scolding Izuku as well, that he could have made the situation even worse than before for what he did. After that, the two just went back home, as the two separated and said, "Hey," as Bakugo asked, "Izuku, you plan on getting stronger for UA, right?" As he said, "Of course, I still plan on going." As Bakugo tells him, "Then you and I better get to training now. I don't plan on being weak ever again for you to save me and put yourself in danger again." After that, Izuku feels a little bit embarrassed that Bakugo is thinking about him, thinking about his well-being, as saying, "Aw, you actually do have a heart in that cold explosion exterior of yours." As he says, "Shut up, damn nerd, I'm out of here." As the two wave goodbye. Soon after, Izuku is stopped by All Might, and there, All Might, as Izuku is surprised seeing All Might once more, and wonders why he's here, as All Might wanted to say one thing to him before he left, as he wanted to answer his question. "Even with a quirk like yours, you didn't succumb to it. If anything, you thought of more saving somebody instead of being afraid what would happen. And to that, those are the true actions of a hero. If anything, those are the true qualifications of a hero. So I have to say, you can be a hero with your quirk." After hearing that, Izuku began breaking down in tears, and soon fell to his knees and saying, "Thank you. Thank you, All Might." And that's it. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please tell me below what you guys think. Also, in the next video, I'll be working on the next script. With that said, this is Mooky, signing out. Later.